She was already yelling before I even closed my gate.
"Open it! This pool is for residents!" she screamed, slamming her hand on the metal bars. I looked at her once and said calmly, "This is my backyard. You don't live here." That's when her face changed. She pulled out her phone, stepped back like she owned the street, and shouted, "Fine, I'm calling the cops!" Let's see how tough you are then. 2 kids were still in the pool behind me, laughing, not knowing what was coming. My wife whispered, "Maybe let it go?" I shook my head slowly. "No, this ends today." Karen walked straight to my front door and taped a paper on it. Big letters, HOA notice. "You're violating community rules," she said with a smile that felt wrong. "You'll be removed if you don't comply." I didn't rip the paper. I didn't argue. I just took my phone out and started recording. She noticed and smirked. "Go ahead, record. I've done this before." Then she lowered her voice and added, "By the time police arrive, your kids won't even be allowed inside this house." A tow truck rolled slowly at the corner of the street. Like it was waiting for a signal, my chest tightened. Not with fear, but with anger. I stayed quiet. Too quiet. Because she didn't know one thing yet. She was standing on land she had no power over at all. The sirens came faster than expected. Karen crossed her arms and smiled like she'd already won. "Told you," she whispered. 2 police cars stopped right in front of my house. The officers stepped out, hands resting near their belts. Karen rushed to them, talking fast, pointing at me, pointing at my house, pointing at my kids. "He broke HOA rules, refused access to the community pool, threatened me, and is illegally occupying this property," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. One officer looked at me. "Sir, is this true?" Before I could answer, Karen cut in again. "He's not even on the HOA list." I checked myself. She leaned closer to the officer and added, "These people always try this." That line hit hard. My wife squeezed my hand. The kids had gone silent behind the glass door. The officer asked for my ID. I handed it over without a word. Karen laughed softly. "See? He knows he's done." Then something unexpected happened. The officer paused, looked at my name again, then looked at the address. His eyes narrowed just a little. "Ma'am," he said slowly, "can you show me your HOA authority?" Karen froze for half a second, then pulled out a badge-looking card from her purse. "I'm the acting HOA enforcer," she said proudly. "We handle these situations internally." The second officer leaned closer to the card. "This looks homemade," he muttered. Karen's smile cracked. She raised her voice. "Are you questioning me? I've had people arrested before." That's when the tow truck driver suddenly stepped out and asked, "So, are we towing the black truck or not?" The officer turned toward him. "Who called you?" Karen pointed at my driveway. "I did. That truck is illegally parked." I finally spoke, calm but clear. "That truck," I said, "is registered to federal property access." Both officers turned back to me at the same time. Karen laughed nervously. "He's lying." I looked straight at her and said quietly, "You really should have checked the land records." Before calling anyone, the air changed, and she could feel it. The officer asked me to step closer to the patrol car. Karen's smile came back, shaky but proud. "Good, arrest him already." I unlocked my phone and handed it to the officer. "Before anything," I said, "please watch this." It was a short clip. Karen at my gate. Karen yelling. Karen taping the fake notice. And then the part where she said, "By the time police arrive, your kids won't even be allowed inside this house." The officer's jaw tightened. The second officer turned toward Karen. "Ma'am, did you say this?" She waved her hand. Out of context. "He edited it." I didn't argue. I opened another folder. Property documents. County stamp. Clear lines. My name. This land. No HOA zone. Silence. Even the tow truck driver stopped moving. Karen stepped back. "That map is wrong. The HOA expanded last year." Her voice wasn't loud anymore. The officer shook his head. "No expansion was approved here." She panicked and did the worst thing possible. She grabbed her phone and said, "Fine, I'll call my people." A minute later, a black SUV pulled up. 2 men stepped out wearing uniforms that looked official, but something felt off. Karen pointed at me like she was drowning. "These are our security officers. They'll handle it." The real cops stiffened. "Those are not county uniforms," one officer said. One of the men tried to speak. We're contracted. That's when I slowly rolled up my sleeve, a faded tattoo. Unit number, military crest. I looked at the officers and said, "Those men are impersonating law enforcement, and I have their faces on camera too." Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The officer reached for his radio. "Dispatch," he said calmly. "Send backup. Possible impersonation and fraud." Karen finally understood. This wasn't control anymore. This was collapse. Backup arrived fast. Too fast for Karen to think. 2 more units blocked the street. Neighbors came out, phones up, whispering. Karen tried to laugh it off. "This is a misunderstanding," she said, stepping away from the fake officers. "I don't even know them." One of the fake men looked at her, shocked. "You called us." "Bad move." The officer snapped, "Hands where I can see them." Karen's voice went sharp. "You can't talk to me like that. I run this HOA." She pointed at me again. "He's dangerous. He trained people to fight." I stayed still. Then I said quietly, "I trained people to protect, not to lie." The officer turned to me. "Sir, former military?" "Yes," I answered. "Still active reserve." That changed everything. Respect, straight posture, different tone. Karen saw it and panicked. She walked toward my wife. "Your kids shouldn't be here," she said coldly. "Accidents happen." That was it. Every officer stepped in at once. "Ma'am, step back now." My wife didn't say a word. She just pulled out her phone and pressed play. A live feed, security cameras, audio clear. Karen's threat echoed from the speaker. The crowd went silent. One neighbor whispered, "She's done." Karen shook her head fast. "That's fake. They planned this." The officer looked at her and said something she didn't expect. "You've been reported before, twice." Her knees went weak, because she knew what was coming. End the story.